Lee, it's been quite an odyssey getting the mobile studio going, but luckily we're benefiting from some of the technology for the mobile studio that I built in my car right now on this broadcast, even from this hotel. How are you, Lee? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Jason. So you're in a hotel now?
Yeah, I've been in hotels some of this time, but I've been working on this mobile broadcast studio from my car. A lot of people misunderstood what I was doing. It's not that I had to be broadcasting from the car. I've been developing this mobile array. I don't want to get into the technology of it right now because we've got a lot of stuff to discuss, and also because, maniacs who pursue me all over the country will take any opportunity to try to thwart from a technological or practical standpoint, anything at all that I do. So the less we talk about it, probably the better. And we've got so much to talk about with all the news that's been breaking here only just a few days into 2025. Before we begin, though, Lee, I want to make sure that people know we're going to be doing a sponsor exclusive segment coming up at 3:30, and people can sponsor you, Lee, by going to patreon.com/Stranahan. It's a great way to sponsor Lee and keep independent journalism going. Lee's got all kinds of posts there on Patreon. What do you want to tell us about Patreon, Lee?
Well, I've been back in the groove of doing my daily legacy media summary. You think you see those? The legacy media summary every morning I've been doing for about the past. When I went to the hospital, and then when I went on a long bus trip, I cut out that doing, obviously. So, but now I've been back doing it about 2 weeks in a row. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, that's great. People can definitely check that out on patreon.com/Stranahan. But you've got sort of a kind of a State of the Union for us, not the speaker, not the address normally given by the president, but just the state of the country right here as we step into 2025, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to make sure I'm back in Virginia. So I got back to Virginia. So I'm very good. And I'm in a place where I think I've got some stability. So that's good. And some internet that works, unlike last week's show.
Yeah, that's good. Believe me, I understand the problems of difficulty with internet. That's what I've been working on in the mobile studio there.
Hotel internet is very tricky, yeah.
Exactly. So, see, that's why I was working on the car, because even when I am traveling around and staying in hotels, it's hit or miss. The other thing that the car studio was all about, Lee, when I'm in New York in the apartment, this entire live streaming setup relies on 4 computers, a webcam, 3 iPhones, what else? A litany of equipment. I've got it down here to 2 computers and an iPad. I've got it down to 2 computers, an iPad, and 1 phone. So less than half of the equipment that I normally have with me.
Right.
So that's a big deal. And it's all battery powered now, even the computers.
Well, like I've talked to you about before, one of the things on this trip, moving out here to Virginia, the equipment I need to do everything, this, you can't see it, but I'm lifting up with one hand. Because the iPad, I'm the MacBook Air.
Yep.
Nice, amazing computer. And it's basically a video editor, music studio. I mean, so many things. It does so many things, including, as you know, video equipment. We used to cart around cases, big heavy boxes.
Yep.
Of a deck would weigh like 80 pounds, like a BSP deck or something. Would lay a lot. And now it's all that equipment in one lightweight. Also, I see when I moved outside to go, because the problems with Airbnb, I couldn't really gather my equipment. So I showed up there, and they had my stuff out on the driveway.
Ooh.
No, it was fine. The police were there, and so I got my stuff. And I wasn't sure how that was going to work. But because of that, I just had to take whatever I had. Make sense? So I had no idea what I was getting. And so one thing about this MacBook Air is it's powered by USB-C. It also takes the magnetic charger. You know that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but it can also be powered by USB-C. So I can power this thing on one adapter.
That's great.
The the same adapter is powering this, my MacBook Air, and my phone. And I have to switch places. But while I was on the bus trip, it was insane because I didn't know what I had. I wanted to make sure I had my equipment, the basics, so I could work.
Yeah.
And I work. We really do live in an age of wonders. People don't. You kids, you don't appreciate how good you have it.
It's true. And, Lee, when you and I first met many years ago, the equipment, we thought it was amazing then, but you're right. It was just so big and crazy, and computers didn't work that well. And it took days and days to render sometimes even just one image that comes out in seconds now. It really is astounding. But let's get to the heart of what you wanted to talk about. And then what we're going to do is get even further into that conversation when we get to the sponsor exclusive segment on patreon.com/Stranahan. And of course, also on the sponsor exclusive channels for Crowdsource the Truth. What do you want to discuss today?
So the first thing is, because again, we're about, 15 days from Trump being in office, right?
Yeah.
So the exciting thing that happened this week, of course, was Thomas Massey taking a stand against, Johnson. And they had the vote. He won the speakership. But I'm personally, I said it on my X, I'm glad Thomas Massey took a stand. Massey, he's accused of showboating by some people, but I don't think so. Massey's my favorite congressman. So he took a principled stand that he didn't want. Look, the reason I'm in favor of Massey doing that is, could we agree that Trump has been fooled before? He's picked some people who've not worked out well.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and I would say Paul Ryan was one of those people.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnson, because look, we're at a crucial point in Ukraine. It may seem like I'm switching topics, but I'm not really. We're at a crucial point in Ukraine. So Ukraine right now is Ukraine is militarily about to be defeated. Ukraine's coming to the end of its manpower, and at the end of, they've had huge numbers of deserters in Ukraine. Have you been hearing about that?
No, I mean, I know it's been kind of a disaster from the beginning, but I hadn't heard specifically about deserters. You're not talking about people who are ordering a second helping of ice cream, I presume.
No, I'm talking about people like France was in there training a lot of people. And so they sent some Ukrainian troops to France. And Ukrainian troops, who in many cases have been pulled off the street. When I say they're drafted, they're grabbed off the street. So they're in France training, and they're saying, wait, I was pulled off the street, and now I'm in France.
Right. It's a lot better.
I mean, so literally, they just leave the base. They desert right there. And I think the Times report on this, or maybe Axios, or Politico.
There's a lot of reporting, actually. Kiev Post, I don't know how reliable that is.
Right. Well, it's reliable in the sense that if they're reporting it, you can tell something's going on. Now, they're probably on the low side of the numbers, but it indicates that there's something actually going on, right?
Yeah, no, we've got it here in AP. It seems to be pretty widely reported. I've just been so busy driving around and getting all this equipment set up. Desertion threatens to starve Ukraine's forces at a crucial time in its war with Russia. I mean, what does that really tell us, Lee, about the morale of the military if they're more interested in deserting? They've been telling us that Ukraine is going to fight to the last Ukrainian. I mean, that was basically, Joe Biden telling you that, not anybody actually in Ukraine.
Well, the point for the U.S. is this, and this is why Johnson is important. What's the next move? So when the Ukrainians are deserting in massive numbers, they're about to lose. You can't send in more troops. You can't send in Ukrainian troops, right? You can't send, they're deserting. You can't send them weapon systems they're trained on. Let's say the U.S. sent more ATACMS.
Mm-hmm.
Getting up to speed on ATACMS takes a while, takes months or years. Mm-hmm. Okay? So it's one thing, like if they grab you, Jason, not knocking you, but just saying, if they put you on a battlefield,
I wouldn't know
you're
what
not trained.
Right.
Right.
You get killed pretty quickly.
and you're dealing with other people who also don't know what to do. And so a bunch of people not knowing what to do is a recipe for disaster. And that's why people are. But let's talk about what the next move is. Logically, the next move is what?
Surrendering, maybe?
No, no. Well, okay, let's rule that out. They should do that. But
Yeah.
if they can't get more Ukrainian troops, what can they
Oh,
get?
American troops.
Bingo. And that's why I'm saying a guy like Johnson is, I think, a bad news. Because one thing he did was, remember them all waving the Ukrainian flag
Yeah.
a few months ago?
Yes, I
So
do.
I would like someone who's more what you said, okay, it's time to end this. Now, I think Trump wants to end it, but I've seen Trump before want to do something, but be stopped from doing it. And
Hmm.
especially with like Seb Gorka in there, I'm not confident that that I want to see Trump have all the backing he can get to end this war. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah,
next
I
move
mean, they're
is for
worried that,
U.S. lives.
yeah, I've heard Johnson say things and other people say things about how, they fear Putin, whatever, and they say, oh, we can't just surrender Ukraine to Putin. I don't really see it as that. It's like, you got to stop trying to destroy Russia, is what it is.
And also, Putin doesn't want Ukraine. Putin wants the parts of Ukraine that were Russian and
Right.
that wanted to be part of Russia and left after 2014, the Donbass. Okay, that's what Putin wants. He doesn't want the western part, Lvov, or that part. He'll take it if he has to. If they won't stop any other way, he will destroy Ukraine. I
Mm.
don't have any doubt about that. So that's what I'm saying. I don't. Maybe in normal circumstances, Johnson would be okay. Like
Yeah.
he'd be a little weak, but now lives are at stake and American lives are at stake. And the next thing they're going to try to do is obviously push for the U.S. to get directly involved to save Ukraine. And I want someone to go, no way.
I can't see Trump doing that. I don't think Trump would allow American troops to go to Ukraine. But I'll tell you what I am worried about, Lee, is that it seems like Donald Trump could pretty easily be convinced to go to war with Iran. He seems pretty into that. You know what I mean?
Yes, and again, I've seen Trump do things he did not want to do. I've seen Trump say he wanted to build a wall.
Right.
He talked about that a lot.
Mm.
Trump is not fully in control of things. And again, not like Biden, but in the sense that the president only has so much power. The deep state has most of the power, right?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, I agree with that.
so a guy like Massey uh, urging, and one thing that Massey did that confused people, it's confusing in Washington, is Massey did what he said. There used to be people saying one thing and then caving at the last minute,
Yeah.
right?
He definitely is not one of these guys who just goes along to get along. He speaks his mind no matter how controversial his position might be. I saw he had manufactured a whole box of those debt calculators that he
Yeah,
designed, and
right.
he's got that lapel pin.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
He should
I mean,
sell those. I would get one.
yep. Plus, he's a guy. I like Massey for a lot of reasons, but one reason he's a guy who actually does stuff. Like when the recent report on AI came out, I was there's only one guy I actually trust in Congress when it comes to science and stuff. Does that make sense? Massey
Yeah,
is a guy who knows how to do things.
yeah, it's true. And look at this, Lee. Speak of the whatever, and it appears you can buy it now. He's selling them. Get your debt badge. Let's see how much it costs. Well, it's $100. That's going to put me in debt, so we'll wait. We'll hold off on that. But that's good to know. That's a funny gift item for people.
Yeah. And again, I'm really, he is my favorite congressman. My favorite congresswoman is Luna
Yeah,
because
she's great. I really
because
do
you've
like
seen her
her.
from behind. Enough said.
Well, I mean, not to diminish her, she is beautiful, of course, but she's also super intelligent and really nice. I've met with her there in Congress, and I have a lot of confidence in her. She was, remember,
Yeah.
this was around the time she was trying to do something with Adam Schiff. She had something, I guess, censure him. She had a whole thing outside her office about that. Met with her, shared the Twitter coup report with her and her staff. I do really
I have a
like.
lot of respect for her, true. And normally I would not bring up her ass, but
She is beautiful, I have to admit.
but no, she showed her off too. You saw the
Oh,
pictures.
that's true. You're right. She did do a whole bikini shoot.
Wasn't like I'm sitting in behind her. She
Right.
was showing her ass very clearly.
She's proud of it.
Look at my ass. So
Yep.
I'm in favor of that.
Hey, Lee, yeah, I think if you got an ass like that, show it to people.
Exactly right. And again, I really wouldn't. I wouldn't talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene's ass or Lauren Boebert's ass, only because they haven't. If they pose in a bikini though, from behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's on limits.
I'm with you on that for sure.
Two notes.
It,
Two notes.
yeah,
Don't go further. But
yeah.
I saw it, and it's nice.
Now, there's one other thing I wanted to ask you about, Lee, because this is part of our topic today. There's this incredibly bizarre story going on where we've had somebody, bomb a cyber truck outside the Trump. I mean, this is a crazy story, wouldn't you say? This guy, first they were saying he shot himself, he blew himself up. I don't know how that works, how you can do both of those things. The truck, it really didn't damage the hotel or do anything. And then there was this whole show with Sean Ryan, and they're talking about anti-gravity. What is going on with this story, would you say?
Well, so my take on it is, did you like Dennis Miller when he had a show on
Yeah,
HBO?
he's very funny. Sometimes over my head even. He's one of the most intellectual comedians probably ever.
Absolutely. And Dennis Miller had a thing he did years ago. And basically, he was talking about mass shootings. And he talked about people who are doing mass shootings as a form of suicide. And then he drifted into, if he said it on the show, he said, if you're ever thinking of molesting a kid, kill yourself. Just boom. Stop yourself. And I thought that was pretty bold. So this guy, I've seen a lot of people, I'll call extravagant suicides. A lot of these shooters, mass shooters, are really people killing themselves, right? They kill a bunch of people.
Right. Suicide by cop. They want to be dramatic and go out in a hail of bullets.
And this guy was that. He was, now obviously, post-traumatic stress syndrome. I heard he had a marriage breakup. And so he thought to himself, okay, how can I go out big? Rent a cyber truck, put it in front of Trump Hotel, Vegas. That's a good place to commit suicide on New Year's. No, I'm really
you're not wrong. But I want to talk to you about some of the stranger aspects of it, because just like on 9/11, we have this improbable survival of a passport, even though the truck, we just saw the picture, is totally burned out, but yet the passport is there. It's somehow sort of, and I mean, I don't know, how did they identify the dead guy? He's shot, he's exploded, his passport survives. It sort of feels like some of this evidence might be planted to
hang on. Let's slow down. How do you identify the guy? In this case, very easy. The truck is a rental, right?
Yeah.
We know that. So they run the plate. This is the rental. They call the rental agency who rented it. That's one way. It's obvious. Yeah, again, I don't think there's any. I'm very irritated by a lot of people. Like, who's that guy? He's a young guy, heavy facial hair. I think Ian something.
Oh, Ian Carroll?
Yeah, I guess so. I call him young Doug Henning with a bad green screen. He does there's a style of doing.
It's Ian Carroll you're talking about.
Yeah. And look, if he's got actual information, great, bring it.
You're talking about this guy, right?
I have to hear him talk, but it looks like him, yeah. And
he's hanging out with George now,
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, let's listen to him a second.
What's up with the
craziest like reverse psyop story ever, and it's still developing. But I'm gonna run.
Stop right there.
That's him,
What
right?
the fuck's a reverse psyop? What's a reverse psyop?
I don't know.
See, again, it's a word salad. Guys like this, he might be a nice guy. I'm not judging him personally. And he probably talks about better than me. He's got a certain Doug Henning vibe, I
This
think.
is the green screen that you like.
No, also, what is it? I see a lot of people doing that. The bad green screen.
I think it's a function of TikTok. You don't want to hire this guy to be the visual effects suit?
No, but people seem to like it. It's like a style.
Yeah.
I see it a lot.
It comes from TikTok, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So TikTok, not the most in-depth investigative reporting on TikTok. And he throws out phrases like, it's a reverse psyop. That's word salad. What does it mean? And I wish someone would stop him and say, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? What's a reverse psyop? So it's like a psyop convincing people that what? I mean, I can't even conceive of it.
Yeah. It's a weird, I don't know what it is. And maybe he's just made it up.
I'll tell you what it is. Clickbait.
Yeah.
Clickbait.
Exactly.
People, people like this can make a bunch of money on TikTok. And they can make a bunch of money. And whereas good investigative reporters like me take an 80-hour bus ride to get to Virginia.
It's challenging for sure, Lee. I mean, when you do controversial reporting, you've had people who brought lawsuits against you. We don't want to mention the guy. You just do more of it. But when you really dig into things and hit at the heart of the matter, there are a lot of resources to stop you. And when you're sensational look, for all we know, I've got a lot of evidence that George, and particularly his brother, have been paid by the government. And it's quite odd that we're on year 8 of George's brother relentlessly pursuing me, my octogenarian family members. It's very upsetting. By the way, that was another reason I was in the car, is that if I go near anyone or broadcast from somebody's home or whatever, certainly there's going to be a lawsuit. So I can't do that.
Right, yeah. And again, I've dealt with lawsuits too. I know what you mean. So that's why I have to be quiet about my life too.
Yeah.
Not that I want to be, because I'm not, personally, I prefer to be, I prefer to be open about my life. Someone say too open, but to me, it's safer.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, Lee, we're just about 2 minutes away from continuing on our sponsor exclusive segment. People are going to be able to join us on patreon.com/Stranahan. And we're going to get even deeper into this conversation, talk about some more of these issues. People are also going to be able to join us on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I'm glad to see this mobile array working well, keeping our live stream going.
Yes.
I'm monitoring the stream here.
The internet seems good today. So
Yeah.
I'll say one thing. I was talking about maybe being in D.C. tomorrow, January 6th. I'm not going to be. Okay. Just logistics.
The weather's going to be bad, and you got to take care of your health.
And I just got where I'm going, and I just got a pair of scissors today and somewhat cut my beard.
It does look very Santa Claus-ish right now. I thought you were doing that for the December months.
No. Well, I don't mind having a full beard, but it was too much. It was too crazy. And
bordering on rabbi.
I'm just getting to the point where I can do the hotel I was in Charlottesville. The one bad thing about it is no laundry room.
Oh man!
I was again on a bus for 80 hours with whatever clothes they left in the driveway.
Whoa!
Right, and so but now
Lee, I do hope that people will check out your Patreon page. I'm sorry I don't have the overlay ready. We'll have that finished.
But now I've got this. So
what is that? Lunch or something?
this is a bad lunch.
Tide. Tide. Yeah,
Don't have
don't
this
do the
for lunch.
Tide Pod.
Do
No,
not eat
don't do
this
the
for lunch.
No,
Tide Pod.
definitely not. Tide Pod Challenge. But Lee, we're going to be back in just a minute, and we will carry on with the sponsor